You know what's lucky right now is that return to post-Helene traffic. How are you? 2040
Oh, I know, John has just started PhD down. And it's an herb.
I was thinking, oh my God, I remember this from last year. Yeah. That's what it is.
They say 2 weeks, but probably they're gonna have me be going to it.
I think that's one of those things that they say.
You gotta say something. Yeah.
2 weeks if it doesn't rain for the next 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then when it does rain, then we're back to another month in 2 weeks.
We're getting ready for a trip to Richmond again. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the June 23rd, 2025 regular meeting of the Weaverville Town Council. I want to first point out that I'm wearing the 105th anniversary of Weaverville t-shirt. This is our sesquicentennial. Oh, excuse me. I was just modeling my 150th anniversary of Weaverville t-shirt, and want to remind everyone that this is our sesquicentennial year, and there will be celebratory activities associated with the 4th of July event, as well as the anniversary of Hurricane Helene in September, which you'll hear more about later in the agenda. So, the first item up tonight is a public hearing regarding the zoning map amendment for 21 College Crescent Street. And Planning Director Eller, would you please describe this?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Happy to be here to present tonight's public hearing, which again is in relation to proposed zoning map amendment for 21 College Crescent. Staff has been in possession with this application for a couple months at this point, and tonight's public hearing has been advertised, and so here we all are. What the application proposes is a swap from R1 zoning to R2 zoning. The Planning Board has deliberated the matter and offered a negative recommendation on R2, but a favorable recommendation on a conditional district that would allow for lots to be created of a similar size in R2, but prohibits multifamily housing. Included with your information tonight is a copy of the public notice for tonight's hearing, the Planning Board recommendation, the zoning map amendment application, and a staff report. At this time, it would be appropriate to ask for comment from the public, and I'm happy to answer any questions anyone may have at this time or during the action item as well.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Eller? No. We have one person who's trying to speak on this issue, and that's Jerry Davis. If you would come forward, state your name, your address, and we have this large annoying clock over here that the manager has, which will go off after 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is Jerry West Davis. I live at 21 College Crescent Street. I've lived here all of my life, and actually lived on just 2 streets in my life, Central Avenue and where I live now, 21 College Crescent. My purpose in doing this is to be able to sell the lot next to me and be able to live out the rest of my life in my home right where I'm at right now. That's the whole purpose of it. I've heard there's stories going around to sell the house, knock down the house, and build several things on there or whatever. Have no intention whatsoever. And I hope I have a few more years left, and that retirement I would be able to stay in Weaverville where I'm born and raised and loved. And that's why I want to have this where I could sell the lot, one lot.
Thank
That's
you.
all I have.
Is there anyone else who didn't sign up but would still like to speak on this issue? Seeing
Mr.
none?
Mayor, since it's on topic, there was one email that came in that's against R2. There's another that was put in the box, anonymous, that said they would support the planning board's recommendation for conditional zoning as described by Mr. Evans.
Thank you very much. Since there's no more comments, I'm closing this public hearing. Next up is the approval and adjustments to tonight's agenda. You'll have had a chance to review the agenda. I would like to propose that we take item 9E off of the agenda tonight because there's information that we do not have yet in order to make a good decision. The meeting was just conducted today to determine what kind of costs might be associated with this. So I suggest that we take the Maple Trace Streets and Stormwater update and put that off until our next meeting, which will be July the 15th. Since you've had a chance to review the agenda, is there a motion to accept the agenda with the adjustment I just stated?
So moved.
Thank you. All opposed? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. It is important that all members of town council avoid both conflicts of interest and appearances of such. Does any member tonight have any conflicts of interest with any of the items on tonight's agenda? Nope, thank you. Next up is an employee recognition, and Police Chief Oberlin, I believe this is you.
Hi, good evening, Mayor, Town Council. A bunch of stuff under here. Let me know if you can't hear me, but I'm pretty loud. The Criminal Investigation Certificate Program recognizes law enforcement personnel who have completed investigative training in order to better prepare themselves for the rigors and challenges of criminal investigations. The best practices and investigative techniques and the practical application of detectives constantly change due to technological advances and legal changes or challenges. An investigator must stay up to date and receive instruction from dedicated and professional instructors. Completion of the program requires 400 credit hours with a focus on law enforcement criminal investigations and the completion of both required courses and elective topics. I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce you to Senior Officer Chris Workman and congratulate him for completing the 400+ hours that it took for him to acquire his Criminal Investigation Certificate Program, which we lovingly call CICP because it's too much of a mouthful. And I told him that I was gonna hold his certificate hostage until I got to give it to him today. So this will be the first time he's gotten to see it too. But congratulations to Chris Anderson for his CICP. And we wanna thank him for all of the dedication that he's put into our agency. And he did want to.
Thank you, Chief Oberlin. Thank you, Council, for your time. I just want to appreciate or give thanks for a department that structures and gives great opportunity to our officers to grow in education and to promote us to be better for our victims and for the people of this town. And I really appreciate that, and I want to thank you for your time.
Thank you. Congratulations, sir. Next up is tonight's consent agenda, and Manager Harris, would you go through the items in tonight's consent agenda?
Yes, sir, Mayor, Council, for tonight's consent agenda on page 16, May 13th and 25 is your Town Council regular workshop meeting minutes. On page 19 is the May 19th Council regular meeting workshop, regular meeting minutes. On page 24 is the monthly tax report. As of the end of May, we are 99.79% collected with $8,867.81 left to be collected for the 2024 property taxes. In May of 25, the property tax levy release fund was $4.23, and for the motor vehicle levy release fund was $272.90. On page 30, you have a budget amendment there's 3 budget amendments in your packet, but going over those, the town received a grant from Firehouse Subs Public Safety Foundation grant in the amount of $35,145.18 for the purchase of a Zodiac rescue boat with motor and trailer and accessories. The town has collected an additional $1,000 in Cops for Kids donation May 25, bringing the fiscal year to date total of $9,362. The town has received insurance proceedings totaling $148,335.54 for property claims related to Hurricane Helene, storm damage, as well as a UTV in our Public Works Department that caught fire last month. So attached is the budget amendments to those for your approval. Moving along to page 32, authorization for grant applications. There's several grants that the town is looking to apply for and would like permission to move forward. There's grants applications for Truist Charitable Funds for $23,000. The fund working with the Arbor Day Foundation to help Western North Carolina respond to tree-related needs resulting from Hurricane Helene. Made grant application under the state revolving fund supplemental appropriation for Hurricane Helene. That comes with a 20-year loan, 0% interest for the town, with 100% for principal forgiveness up to $5 million. An additional grant application for the Department of Commerce under Small Biz Infrastructure Grant, an amount that has yet to be determined. These grants are also related to the recovery from Hurricane Helene, designed to rebuild our infrastructure. Moving along to page 35, where we have two proclamations on page 35 and 36 in your package. Page 35 is the proclamation for the June being the Pride Month. And on page 36, Juneteenth Proclamation. And that concludes your consent agenda.
Thank you, sir. Are there any questions from the manager regarding the consent agenda? If not, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much. Manager Harris, would you give us your town manager's report?
Yes, sir. Continue with the manager's report, and starts on page 38 of your packet. On the comprehensive land use plan update, we have had some public input sections. The town is currently seeking public input as part of the update to the comprehensive land use. Two sessions were held on June the 16th with about 45 minutes of the community participating. We've also posted and sent out a survey asking questions for getting feedback from our community as their priority as well. The water treatment resiliency project, the bid opening on the raw water intake generator installation and the chlorine gas conversion projects, those was held on June the 4th. TP Howard Plumbing Company submitted the only bid, which was priced at $1,818,568. This bid is over our budget by more than $500,000. Staff is exploring options to move this important project forward and plans to provide a recommendation to council in our July meeting. Noise complaints, there have been an uptick in noise complaints related to celebrations at the Weaver House. I wanted to remind council that the Weaver House and anyone else is allowed to play amplified entertainment noise until 10 p.m. The police department reports that the Weaver House knows that regulation and has been compliant with the restrictions that town council has put into place. PPDR, private property debris removal, it has been a slow process. Part of that process is this hurricane was unique to FEMA, so they had some stipulations in there. Is originally that the only way PPDR hazard removing of the trees. We've worked with FEMA and they've removed some of that red tape and burdens allowing other properties, so it took a while to get that moving forward. I have met with Debris Tech, who was the monitoring company that received the packets, and I reviewed round 2 with them a week and a half ago, give them my recommendations on that. They will in turn submit round 2 to FEMA for their approval for reimbursement so that they can move forward to know that it meets the guidelines in that aspect of what they're looking at. Free Family Fridays is a new event we're sponsoring at the community center. It's programming for kids and geared with the following dates. For summer, June 13th and 27th will be movie nights. That movie is Sing, starting at 5 p.m. On July the 11th and the 25th, movie night is Storks, starting at 5 p.m. and August the 1st. These programs are for toddlers and older children, and 2 movie nights are planned. That was hearing some things of how we could have more engagement in our community, involving the community center for a younger population. That's one of our first steps in moving forward, engaging that population. As a reminder, our Public Works Director, who you'll hear from tonight for his quarterly reports, be his last quarter report. Dale Pennell's retirement is upcoming. We will celebrate him for a well-deserved retirement at the community center that he was instrumental in helping us construct and overseeing the project there, but that will take place on June the 26th from 4 to 6 p.m. And the public is invited, and we encourage all attendees and council to attend that process. Again, that is 4 to 6 p.m. on Thursday, June the 26th. Back in September, I had an opportunity to attend, prior to the hurricane, attend Rims Creek Nursery for a ribbon cutting on the Butterfly Trail. So they have reached out to us asking our interest in hosting and sponsoring and being part of the Weaverville or the actual Butterfly Trail system, and where we could host one of them. So with your permission, we would like to move forward in pursuing those talks and being a host site, a couple of spots that I have identified in town, one being the Clock Lock, two being the Nature Park, and three being Lake Louise. But the goal would be to have something that as members are searching for the Butterfly Trail, it would bring them to downtown. So that was one of the reasons of looking at those spots and avenues there. So again, if there's enough interest or direction from council, we would pursue that meeting and continue further talks with them in that aspect and bring you some feedback. Last week.
Can you all see the photo of Scotty as a butterfly?
So, I was gonna say, that was before the hurricane, so something happened between the hurricane and that picture, I guess. We met last week, myself, Planning Director James Oler, and Jennifer Jackson, our Assistant Town Manager, met with the school. We opened that door to shed some light on our growing community and working with them on managed growth and being good stewards and good partners in the community. So that occurred on the 17th, and several things we talked about was enlightening them to be able to do some planning and some preparations on the school side for projected growth, but also talked about how we as the town and staff could be more involved. One of the things that we suggested and recommended and talked to them about is they have projects in their school to where they talk about public service. We could participate more heavily involved by bringing truck programs and have basically the reward system could be that a child gets, that reads the most books during that process would have a opportunity to ride a fire truck and be brought to school on a fire truck that day. So just looking at different ways that we can have more of our stakeholders' involvement in the school systems, everything from participating in serving lunch to more activities with the children in that aspect. So we're working with them to develop some programs there. Our Music on Main event, the WABA's Music on Main, was held on the 14th. We did have a social district event during that. There were a couple of ABC violations that were noted in that, but overall the social district seems to be working well for our events and well attended and is monitored reasonably well in that. Upcoming with our 4th of July celebration event, plans are underway on the 4th. The band will be breakfast for dinner. They will provide the music entertainment starting around 7, followed by fireworks. And again, we just remind the community to leave your pets at home and sparklers at home and abide by our road closure regulations. Again, the fireworks has a tendency to scare the canines and they can run off. But also during this event, we hope to have fireworks starting around 9:15 or 9:20, depending on how dark it gets and when, as that's our target time frame for the fireworks in itself. Our July workshop, again, we'll take guidance from council on that if you would like to proceed on that. Typically, a lot of times in July, you counsel that workshop with the amount of work that was put in the budget workshops. So if you have a topic that needs to be brought up to our July workshop for July 15th, we will take feedback on proceeding with that or canceling that workshop if you would like to discuss that option or what you would like to have moving forward in that. And just some upcoming reminders, the planning board meets on July the 1st at 6 p.m. here in council chambers. Town offices will be closed on Friday, July the 4th. Again, for our July 4th celebrations at 7 p.m. that evening. On July the 12th, music in the Main Street Nature Park. And I attended that last month, and had a really good turnout, good band for that. Look forward to seeing that program grow and prosper in our nature park. The next scheduled workshop is scheduled for July the 15th if you choose to proceed with that. And then our regular town council meeting will be July the 28th at 6 p.m. here in council chambers. And that concludes the manager's report. Any questions?
Any questions of the manager? Thank you very much. And if you all are okay, why don't we wait and see if any burning issues turn up with regard to the July workshop. If not, then we'll cancel, but we can make that decision at a later time. Is that okay? Sure. Even though we're going to have a retirement party for Dale Pennell on Thursday, I'd like to take this opportunity to publicly recognize Dale Pennell for, how long have you been here, Dale? 8 years? 7.5 years. But even before that, Dale worked as an engineer on several Weaverville projects. And Dale, I want to really thank you for your service and your dedication to the town of Weaverville. It is greatly appreciated. And luckily, Dale, we know where you live, so we'll come get you if we need you. Next item up is item 8 on the agenda, which is general public comments. And we do have one person who has signed up to speak this evening, and that is Andrew Shelton.
Okay, thank you for letting me talk today. I'll be up for the Citizens Academy in just a little bit, but I'm just learning what I have in the past half of a year. In the Citizens Academy, I thought I need to talk. I never have up here in all my years, 40 years in Weaverville, and I figured it's time. These come from a place of love for the town, love for my fellow neighbors in the town. Many I've gone to school with, taught their kids, friends with, and these are just concerns that we've had along the years. I thought a lot about the word progress that I hear a lot in this town, and I thought maybe I didn't understand the meaning in how I felt. Maybe it was one-sided. Well, after doing a little research, and I hate that term, but after doing my learning, I saw that it's not one-sided. I've seen things come and go in this town, a lot of progress over the past 40 years, but inevitably there are scars left. Vacant new construction, cheaply made unaffordable housing, and less green space. And then I just ask to myself and to us, is this our definition of progress? My definition is to seek an improved situation or condition. So, in other words, improve what we have and what we cherish, and not progress for more's sake. Do we need more? Do we need revision? I ask all of us in here, myself included, are we making choices to improve our conditions or to improve our wants and our cravings? When our teachers, myself included, maintenance workers, police, firefighters can't afford to live in the place that they protect, that they teach, and that they serve, where is the line and what is the point of progress? I know this is not as easy as just saying it, and I know people are going to roll their eyes, and that's fine. I'm a teacher. I get it all day for 6 hours. But at the end of the day, we got to do something, because there is a point of no return. When we're going to realize that we've gone too far and our town is not recognizable any longer. And the town that many of us in here have been in longer than I have, when's it going to come to that point? And all I ask is that each of us in here temper our decisions, whether it's the smallest little thing about neighborly action to the biggest things about budget, about what we know is the right definition of progress. And I'll finish with a quote here in 17 seconds from Benjamin Franklin. As we must account for every idle word, we must also account for every idle silence. And I think if we have an issue or if we have a problem, we need to do this as a town and be heard. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next is our discussion and action items for the evening, and up first is Andrew Crossan from Givens Communities, who's going to tell us about some projects they have.
Good evening. My name is Andrew Crossan. I'm the project development coordinator for Givens Communities, and all the moisture in my mouth just went out the door, so please forgive me. With me this evening is Teresa Stevens, our Vice President of Affordable Communities. And the reason I'm up here this evening is just to start a relationship, and you do that by introducing yourself. A few months ago, Jim Boyer, who's a Weaverville resident and also the facilities director for Givens Highland Farms, was attending one of these meetings where they were discussing, well, y'all were discussing, zoning and the hospital. And Givens was mentioned, and Jim came back the next day and said, hey, we got talked about, not in a bad way, but we should probably go talk to the town. So I got the call to go ahead and call the mayor, and we talked for some months, and now we're here today. So I just want to start out both who we are, who's Givens. We're a nonprofit housing organization with 50 years of experience. We are focused on serving seniors of all income levels. We have a strong financial foundation, solid core of operations, and a proven track record of project execution. We currently have 4 physical communities, 2 life plan communities that have all levels of care: independent living, assisted living, and skilled nursing. That's Givens Estates down at South Asheville, and Givens Highland Farm out in Black Mountain. Recently, Newsweek ranked all the life plan communities in the nation and the state, and they said Givens Estates was #1 in the state, and Givens Highland Farms was #7. So that was a pretty good day. We currently have 2 affordable senior housing projects, one in South Asheville called Givens Gerber Park, and the other in Waynesville called Givens Great Laurels. And these communities serve seniors who are 55 and older with a household income of 60% or less of area median income. Givens Gerber Park also has a building that serves middle market seniors who have 61%, 1 penny too much to live in a traditional affordable housing, up to around 120% of area median income. And Givens is currently growing. We recently announced that we have an affiliation with a life plan community in Charlotte called Aldersgate, and our affordable senior communities, we have a project in Jackson County and McDowell County that we're currently working on, but we're also constantly looking for properties, which brings us here. We've been looking for months in Weaverville, haven't found anything yet, so I don't have anything to ask of y'all tonight. So that's a nice way to start. But what kind of sets us apart is being a nonprofit, we make sure that our profits go back into our buildings and the services for our residents. We're an owner and operator, which means we are in it for the long haul. We do not wait for the affordability to expire so we can turn it into market rate apartments. If it's built affordably, we want to keep it affordable. Finally, it's our supportive services program. And what that is we see housing as a wonderful foundation to help support seniors. But we also noticed through our 50 years that if you add a social worker and a community nurse to a community, you are able to help seniors age in their homes for much longer and keep them out of expensive, higher levels of care. So what do we even look for in a property when we're hunting around? Our funding primarily comes from low-income housing tax credits. And in North Carolina, there is a scoring system for properties, depending on how close or how far they are from schools and grocery stores and gas stations and doctor's offices. But there's also scoring for how close you are to airports or highways or electrical substations. So our goal when looking for a property is to try to check all the good boxes and leave all the bad boxes blank. Our buildings are typically 3 to 4 stories with 100, 120 apartments, so that we can have the economies of scale to support that, the social worker and the community nurse. We're usually looking for around 5 acres. However, Weaverville's proximity to our other communities changes our math a bit in a good way. So I'll get to that in a bit. And then finally, water and sewer is vitally important. You cannot build a affordable community with well or sewer. I mean, not septic, well or septic, so having that proximity is vital to us as well when we're looking for a property. And why Weaverville? Weaverville, number one, we are looking to expand in Buncombe County. Weaverville's very low hanging fruit. Number two, y'all have a lovely water and sewer system. As an Asheville resident, my first proper shower after the storm was in Weaverville, and it was, oh man, it was a wonderful experience. The arrival of the hospital is a game changer for the region, quite honestly. And you may not know this, but some communities are not open to having affordable housing. Weaverville's not one of them. In the discussions I've had, that Weaverville's has been expressed support in having affordable housing join their community. We've been places that we said thanks but no thanks. So that's my quick little spiel for the evening. Thank you for not clocking me, because that would have made it so much worse. But I'm here to answer any questions, but if you're like me, you wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning with the question, and really just, I'm happy to respond by calls or emails as well. The mayor has my contact information. So thank you. That's it.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Crossan?
So
Good luck
then
finding.
we can call you at 2 a.m.?
Yes, ma'am. I may not answer, but you are welcome to call.
I do have one question. You said you usually look for 5 acres, and then you went on to say, but because we're in Buncombe County, how many acres are you looking for?
We could probably get with 3. 3 or so?
That's not optimal, but.
Yeah, it's not optimal. And it also, I mean, we've also got to consider, like, how much of the acreage is buildable, right? I mean, you got mountain flat that we can do a lot with, but then there's places that we can't do anything at all. Does that answer?
It does. We have a great place. It might just not, it's probably not affordable. The
Okay.
land behind the post office.
I wrote down the same thing. Have you looked at that place yet?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
I've driven by, did the little loop around, and then, yep.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
Have a
sir.
good
Appreciate it.
evening.
Good luck finding property. Next item up is a presentation from the WEDAC committee, which WEDAC stands for the Weaverville Economic Development Advisory Committee. And they are planning an event in association with our sesquicentennial celebrations, and Craig Weeks is going to tell us about that.
Am I on the clock?
No.
Mr. Mayor, Town Council members, my name is Craig Weeks. I reside at 60 Courseview Drive in Weaverville. Coming before you this evening as a member of the Weaverville Economic Development Advisory Council to update you on the event we are organizing for Saturday, September 27th. As you know, during the period of September 26th and 27th, 2024, the remnants of Hurricane Helene swept through our area. We experienced the most catastrophic flooding in over a century. Western North Carolina recorded 107 fatalities tied to Helene, with 43 deaths in our county alone. Residents and first responders faced significant emotional distress. Mental health providers reported a surge in anxiety, PTSD, and depression. Among the many losses we experienced in our community was the mill wheel at Lake Louise Park. There has been a mill in that location for about 200 years. One of 8 that at times existed along Reams Creek. That particular wheel was over 150 years old and was the beloved symbol of our town, not only for the families who have been here for generations, but also for the relative newcomers like the Barnetts and the Weekses. Our town seal features the wheel, and it is important to us. This is a story about resilience of our region, our county, and our town. All of us suffered to varying degrees because of Helene, and yet here we are. We rebuilt, we supported our neighbors and our local merchants. We are resilient, and a powerful symbol of that resilience is the reinstallation of the mill wheel. The WEDAC has put its efforts behind organizing a celebration of this resilience set for the morning of Saturday, September 27th, exactly 1 year after the storm did its worst. To that end, we have organized a short but hopefully meaningful ceremony at Lake Louise Park to bring the community together and to thank the members of our community who helped us recover. This ceremony will start at 11 a.m. with a blessing of the new wheel. We will hear brief, emphasis on brief, remarks from some of our leaders, including Mayor Patrick. We will hear a short history of the mill and the wheel from Judy Craggs, the director of the Dry Ridge Museum, and we will welcome the descendants of one of the families that operated the mill in the late 1800s. We will thank our first responders and our public works staff, and after the closing of the ceremony, we will offer pizza and soft drinks while they last. We should all be well on our way a little past noon. We have coordinated this event with Scotty Harris, town manager, and Mike DeSerio, manager of the community center. And while we do have several aspects that are still being worked on, we believe that with 3.5 months to go, we're in good shape. We are not anticipating needing any funding over and above what we understand to be in the WEDAC's previously approved budget. I would like to thank the team that has been working on this, including Phil Barnett, the WEDAC chair, Judy Craggs, director of the Dry Ridge Museum, Greg Zocher, VP of the Weaverville Business Administration, along with Brian Moyes, Chuck Thornton, who's here, Reggie Tidwell, Frank Teneski, and Terry Yeager. Thank you for your time, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions for Mr. Weeks? No. Thank you and good luck. Look forward to the event.
Thank you.
6, we've been talking about this budget now for several meetings over the last couple of months. Is there anything left, anything more that needs to be said about the budget at this point? If not, I make a motion that we adopt the budget as is currently written, the latest version, which includes a 3-cent property tax increase. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Motion.
I make a motion. I made it. You want to make it? So I'm making a motion that we adopt the budget as written, current version, latest version, which includes a 3-cent tax, property tax increase. Are any more questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next up is a zoning map amendment for 21 College Crescent Street, which we just heard had a public hearing about.
So tonight's public hearing, which was conducted, was again for the property commonly known as 21 College Crescent. At this point, the public hearing has been held and action is eligible on that R2 zoning request. If town council wishes to go the direction that the planning board went and discuss conditional zoning, now would be the appropriate time to have those conversations. So we can set in motion some additional items that would need to occur should you wish to go that route. But again, the subject of tonight's hearing, which has been held, is a rezoning of the property at 21 College Crescent from R1 to R2.
What comments or questions do council members have regarding this?
If you were, I don't believe you have a financial interest in it.
Nope.
But if you have such a fixed opinion that it's incapable of changing, then that might disqualify you from voting. That'd be up, if you wouldn't recuse yourself, there could be a motion from other member of council to do so. But that would be up to the council.
Just wanted to find out.
Okay. Otherwise, you're free to speak.
Well, I was going to say that we were given 2 options here, and I have spoken with Ms. Davis, and she wanted to split her lot into 2 segments for 2 private families. So I would vote in favor of the second option, which we were offered, to where you could split it into 2 lots, and it would be under conditional zoning for that.
Anyone else have comments regarding this issue?
And the only reason it would need to be conditional is because it doesn't meet the total square footage to just stay as R1. Because I drove by today and you have 100 feet on South College, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Not sure.
So 100 feet makes it R1. I mean, it's okay to have R1, but how far back then does it go?
I think at issue here is the minimum lot area rather than minimum lot width. As you've just suggested, the lot width is not the problem. However, we've got .37 is our acreage that is present, And so we just can't make the minimum lot area work in R1 zoning. However, when that 10,000 square foot minimum lot area in R1 could theoretically drop to 7,500 square feet in R2, at that point, there would be enough square footage present to support 2 individual lots.
How, do you know where the line is gonna be? In other words, how much will be in this lot? Between the 10,000 and the 7,500, do we kinda have an idea?
It's, if memory serves correctly, and I'll rely on the property owner as well, it's almost 8,000 even on each lot if it were to be subdivided.
And if I'm looking at this survey, it appears that there were historically 4 lots.
That is correct.
Okay.
And they got put together
Yes.
horizontally or?
So James, a conditional zoning district is not typically applied to a single residential lot. Why would we want to do that in this instance?
I would hate to lodge an opinion about what you may or may not want to do. I'll answer it a slightly different way. It is true that conditional districts are typically used as a tool for much, much larger
Yes.
and much, much more complex development. A couple examples are Weaver Village, which has numerous businesses and high-density single-family residential development. Another example would be Northridge Commons Townhomes, which was a 54-unit townhome complex before the R12 zoning district was created. And of course, the Advent Hospital was a conditional district as well. A conditional district being applied to a property of this size would be rare.
Yes.
Very rare. Kids just want more.
And the buildable area is subject to the 30-foot front yard setback on both streets?
That is correct. Should the rezoning pass tonight and should the property be subdivided in the fashion that she wishes to do so, the new lot created would be a corner lot, and so that front yard setback would have to come off of both College and College Crescent.
So what's the worst that could happen there? I
One
mean,
house.
you know, it's not gonna be an apartment. I mean, it could be
This
a,
is speculation on my part, but hopefully not reckless. I think what a lot of the fears are over multifamily housing, which the R2 zoning district would support in certain scenarios. Hopefully, in the staff report that was provided in your packet of information, I did as best I could to establish that what we're likely to experience here at the end of the day is one additional lot with one additional home. However, and what was discussed at length at the planning board portion of this application process was just that, multifamily housing. There does exist the possibility that we rezone the property tonight to R2. The home that is currently on the lot can be torn down and a duplex be put back in its place. I believe that she would suggest that is not her desire, but I have to mention that development approvals run with the land and aren't necessarily bound by the current wishes of the current property owner. However, in this scenario, based upon the minimum square footage that is required, if she tears down the home, she can only build back a duplex, not a triplex, which means the unit count would not increase, which means there'd be kind of no reason to tear down the home.
Could you also do an ADU on both properties as well?
This would be the appropriate place for me to suggest that secondary dwellings, as we call them, ADUs, accessory dwelling units, a lot of other folks call them, are currently allowed in both the R1 and the R2 zoning district. However, a secondary dwelling in this case would not have anything to do with the subdivision of the property and therefore may not necessarily meet the needs of the property owner.
So the worst thing that could happen is,
Small apartment building directly across the street and 2 duplexes within a couple hundred feet of the property, if not less.
so even if a duplex was built, it would be consistent with the neighborhood.
It is fair to suggest that there are 2 in the immediate vicinity, which is less than a couple hundred feet away.
That duplex is, or the apartment building has been there since I was in elementary school, so it's been there a long time.
Any other questions or comments regarding this issue, folks? If not, I move that we adopt the ordinance amending the zoning map to designate 21 College Crescent Street as R2. That's a motion. Any more questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Hey,
Motion passes. Next item up is item F, project bids for the Waterline replacement project. And Dale Pennell, Water Public Works Director, this is your last.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. June's been a busy month for bidding. We're trying to get to the end of the month with 3 projects bid and awarded. We're gonna make it with one of them. As the town manager explained, we only had one bid at for the phase 1 of the water treatment plant expansion. And that was over budget by $500,000. We're meeting tomorrow afternoon with the contractor who submitted that bid and starting a value engineering process with him to see if he has any ideas for us that might allow us to save some money or change to a different material, a different product, a different schedule. So we'll be back to you in July with the results. We intentionally, at the suggestion of our consultant on that project, made it a 90-day bid period, meaning from the date the bids are open, his bid is good for 90 days, which is a little out of the ordinary. But due to their experience of this happening, almost every project that's bid these days, of only getting 1 or 2 bids instead of the required 3 on the first bid opening, then that's why it's that case. So, and that was the second bid opening on that project. The second project that we opened bids on was our Waterline replacement project that we've been working on for a couple of years, starting back in 2023. We finally got all of our permits on that, and we had a bid opening, and we had one bid, and then we had a second bid opening and had 2 bids. And as you can see from the information there on page 67 in your agenda package, the bids came in originally at $1,094,500. That included that project divided into 3 phases plus an additional a part that was a 4th phase that we added to the project. And so what we found out is the addition of that 4th project put it way over budget, and we thought an extremely excessive cost for that phase. So when we eliminated that phase, we're back to the original concept for the 3-phase project, and our bid became $901,500, and the budgeted funds for that were $903,067. So we actually came in $2,000.
Question for Mr. Pennell regarding this project? So I assume we're good. Thank you, sir. Next item up is project bids on the paving project. It is. Do you need to vote on that? I thought we just need a discussion. Anyone want to make a motion to authorize the staff to proceed with this this contract?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, sir. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sir, now we're going to yet another project bid on paving project.
Yes, the 3rd project that we're taking bids on this month is our paving project, using the funds from the previous fiscal year as well as the current fiscal year. And we had a bid opening this morning, and we had 2 bids, and the 3rd bid, they called right before 11 o'clock and said they're not going to make it. So, but they are very interested in bidding, so we've returned the bids to the first 2 bidders, and we're going to re-advertise that project to take bids on July 8th.
And assuming that we got at least one and it's reasonable, we'll recommend an award for that project at your July meeting, with a pre-construction conference and contract signing in early August, and then construction to begin mid-August and finish by mid-November. So that's the plan for that. There are 8 streets in that project. And we'll be using budgeted funds for that work. So that's the update on that. Anything else I can answer on that project?
Any questions? So do you want to take action to authorize the staff to enter a contract for this work?
They're still working, they're still waiting for bids.
Okay.
After the third bid is received, yes.
Right.
At the second bid opening, only one bid's required.
Oh,
So, but we hope to get to 3 to give us a better idea.
So only one bid required, so we could go ahead and authorize it at this point. All right?
After the
Very.
next
They
round.
returned.
Okay. Oh, return them, that's right. Excuse me, guys. Don't go anywhere, Dale, because you're up again with the quarterly report from Public Works and Water.
Thank you again. Before I start and go through some numbers, I'd like to ask our current Assistant Public Works Director, Eric Cutshall, to come up with me. He's going to be the interim Public Works Director as of next Monday morning. And he'll be working in that position as the process continues for interviewing candidates for the open position. Let me take you through some numbers like I usually do on some things that sort of jumped out at me. On page 73, middle of the page, monthly unaccounted for water. If you'll notice there, March, we had a real jump up to 10.3%, and we had a similar jump up to 11.0% in May. April was on 4.5%. Both of those large jumps in the unaccounted for water were due to some major water breaks that we had. That took a lot of late night work and a lot of people to get that water taken care of. So that's the reason those jumped up, but we're still on the average for the 3 months at 8.8%, which is below our target of 10. Under water capacity versus production, the second line from the bottom there says current water commitments. Those have remained the same for this whole quarter. We have not had any new large projects that have come to us in the period from March to May. So that is reflected then on the very bottom line where the average of usage and future uses versus the capacity of our water plant has dropped a little bit down to 83.9%. And so we're still holding well below the 90. And then if you flip to the last page there, page 75, or from Helene, is finally reaching a point that we can put a number with it. If you looked at under cubic yards of yard debris, that's the amount of material that we pick up with the new grapple truck. And in March, it was 1,380 cubic yards. It reached a peak in April of 1,536 cubic yards and then dropped 104. So it dropped almost 400 or over 400 cubic yards of debris from April to May. What that means is, we hope, that people are finally, they either through their own labor or through a contractor, have gotten all the debris or are getting all the debris out to the road so we can pick it up. And that's a wonderful thing to be aware of, that we've sort of reached a peak and are sliding down the other side. So we're so glad about that. And I'm going to let Eric talk to you for a minute about some things that we have on the report.
Hey, Nice to meet you, Mayor, Council. All of our staff members have completed a Public Works training course on equipment safety and employee harassment. All staff members have been recertified in CPR and defibrillator usage. All staff members have completed their 6-hour water training credit for training hours.
Evening the same way they came to work that morning, except tired. Very quickly, a couple of the Hurricane Helene damage that still remains, of course, is the Waterwheel. The old Waterwheel's been removed. The new Waterwheel is sitting at Public Works on 5 pallets, ready to be assembled. So we're looking forward to that getting started. Without, if I said one job ended on Friday, the next one started on Monday. And so being able to spend my last 7.5 years of a long career in the town where I live and have lived since 1965, and be able to do the improvements that we've done the last 7.5 years has just been nothing but a pure pleasure. The fountain out front of Town Hall, I can pass sidewalks that we built, roads that we paved, parks that we've improved, and be especially proud of what the Nature Park looks like now and what Lake Louise looks like now. Those 2 parks, I think, are gems to the town, especially when you see anything on public media that talks about Weaverville and how nice it is. It's the downtown and it's the parks. So I'm glad to have been able to be a part of that for these years, and knowing that my grandchildren that live here in town, just a block away from the nature park, that they enjoy that practically every day. And so I'm glad to have been a part with your help, with both your support personally, but also financially, so that we're able to do those things that make Weaverville the kind of place where Gibbons Estate wants to come and build, and a whole lot of other people have too. So I just want to thank you for being able to be your Public Works Director for that time, and I look forward to the town being able to prosper and be a success for another 49 or 65 or whatever the years are. So thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next up is our Citizens Academy graduation. I think we're all familiar with the Citizens Academy. It's a great project the town sponsors. And several folks in the audience are members of the current class of the Citizens Academy and are here as their final homework, which is to attend a council meeting and be graduated. So Town Manager Harris, I'd like to turn this over to you to do these things. I won't turn it over to him.
I appreciate the opportunity that y'all given me to attend most of your sessions, interacting with me. We changed it up a little different this year. Previously, we just had an end of session ceremony at the community center, and some certificates, so you don't have to go home, it's got to go. But tonight, we want to make more about an opportunity for one, for those of you who may not be able to attend the council meeting, briefly put this on the calendar, so you have an opportunity to attend the council meeting to seek your feedback, and we've had some open discussion on some of our previous cases, is that you did get interactive enough because of staff being able to deliver a lot of information in a short amount of time, and that 2-hour presentation, give you what they felt was needed to understand their requirement. So we threw some things in there to be able to offer some more socializing opportunities, and in that aspect, give you some time for mingling, growing together and working with each other. So in that aspect, we come to this portion of the event to be able to present you your certificate. We've got another gift here for you tonight. The mayor will call out your name. Please come forward and receive your certificate. For our fairies, I'll give you a gift as well. Again, we thank you for
So first, to the graduates, I want to say that this is a great preparation for doing public service work in this community, and we hope that you're considering doing exactly that. I want to let you know that in November, we will have 4 seats available on town council that will be up for election. And you all are the prime candidates to do so. And if you wanted to run for town council, you need to declare that intention July 7 to 15 with the Board of Elections. So please consider it. You all are better prepared than your neighbors to be on this council. Applications on our website to join the planning board or the tree board. And again, you all are very prepared right now to be the smart voices we need on those committees. So please consider furthering your commitment to Weaverville by taking on one of those tasks. That being said, first up is Pam Wepler. Congratulations. Thank you. And next up, I hope I'm saying this correctly. No, you know. Lisa Sofert. Did I get it right? Story of my life. Congrats. Christy McMillan. Congratulations. Mary Fox. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Paul Clark. Congratulations, Paul. David Keene. Congratulations, David. Nancy Waldrop. Helen DeMuro. Did I get that one right? Congratulations. Suara Lome.
She just had baby last week.
Congratulations. Deborah Winter. Chip Izzard. Kathy Underdown. Wyatt Mazorski. Was that pretty close? Congratulations, thank you. Andrew Shelton. Jeffrey Mifflin. Andrew Griffith. Congratulations. Thanks. Joan Sprinkle. If you get a round of applause for the graduates. Next up, we do have a closed session scheduled, and Attorney Frew, would you give us the proper language to do so?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. Staff needs a motion to go into closed session pursuant to 143-318-11A3 to consult with an attorney employed or retained by the public body in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege.
Motion made.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, we'll meet in the conference room in a couple of minutes.
Very crucial time.